everybody, it's your girl Sherry. Welcome back to another episode of Alleged Actually Podcast. Today I am with my lovely co-host Bria.
Hey everybody, good to be back again. Sorry, I know I keep taking these hiatuses, but now I should be more stable. So
All
good to
right,
be back. Get into the mess.
good to have you back, and we shall see how often she comes back. But anyway, welcome everybody. Today we are coming to have our discussion on Love is Blind. I know y'all, if y'all are like us, you've been enjoying it. Season 7. We got a lot to unpack here. This cast is really cutting up. Bria, what are you feeling about the season so far?
I think it's a mess, honestly. I mean, like drama and everyone's kind of going for their virality moment and taking advantage of this. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's a mess. But I'm here for it. I'm here to review, and I want to talk about it. So let's
All right,
let's do
let's
it.
get into it. Before we get into it, though, real quick, everybody, we're gonna ask that you go ahead and slide in our comments so we can chat about this episode. Well, this season thus far, we are all the way through season or episode 11, and we're waiting for the big wedding episode coming up on Wednesday. So we're just gonna talk about all things Love is Blind up until this point. If you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert, we are going to get into it. And to all you internet sleuths out there that's ruining it for us, stop. But you know
Hey,
what?
we'll talk
We're
about that.
gonna I'm about to say we're gonna jump in. We're gonna do a little bit of internet sleuthing ourselves. So here we go. So Bria, we're gonna kick it off. Let's you wanna just go couple by couple and just
Yes.
all right. Who we going with first?
First, let's start with the couple that really didn't make it past the pods. Let's start with Leo and Britney. What did you
Okay.
think about our good friend Leo and Brit?
All right. I'm gonna put them on the screen while we do a little chatting. So listen. Leo, of course, is in the middle of the love triangle that we all didn't know that we needed and did not need. What did I think about Leo? I thought that Leo was a narcissist, a spoiled little rich boy. Um, he was intense. He was off-putting. When I watched him even interact with the guys when they would come back, I mean, someone would be talking to him. I particularly remember one moment when he was talking with one of the guys, and I don't remember his name, who was actively dating Hannah. And he asked him, he was like, yeah, man, I'm trying to figure out what to do. And he was like, did you date Hannah and Britney? And the guy's like, yeah, I did. And then he was like, yeah, but Hannah wasn't your number one. He was like, in fact, she was. And he was like, he still tunnel vision into what he wanted. And then the guy's like, well, I just want to tell you something about Hannah. She says I'm 5'8". Hannah's 5'9". I told her I was 5'8". She said it wasn't a problem. And then she kind of like cut me. It went right over his head. And he didn't even care. He didn't care. He didn't care about anybody. I think that he was a train wreck for whomever was waiting to try to get that bag that was not worth it. He said he was so worried about somebody coming for his money, and yet he led with that every freaking time. He was intense, crazy. But you know what? I think after about the 5th episode, between 4th and 5th, he had got what he needed to get with Britney. And I think the funny part was I didn't see it the first time. I had to go back and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
That time after this back and forth, Britney was like, it was when he asked her about what type of ring she wanted.
Right. Reeling her
Y'all,
back. Yes.
oh, she had made her mind up then. Listen, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what's good with how I normally do things. Okay. What did you think? I mean,
Um, I like you're talking about when she tried to or attempted to like flip it on him and then be like peace out, but that
oh
didn't happen.
yeah,
But that didn't
yeah,
happen.
it didn't, but it did. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean. With Britney. Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
no, I
yeah.
mean keep going.
Okay,
I
because
can't. I know what you were saying. It's just that she came in like guns ablazing. Like gonna shut this off. And then he was able to sweet talk her back in with a materialistic. I like it. Just I think they were perfect for each other, honestly.
They were.
But
Here's
no,
what I think.
but I'm
I
glad
think
that
that
you have to follow them because that would be obnoxious. But I think
no,
that we're a match made in heaven for real.
I think we had gotten all we needed to get from Leo and Britney. But what I will say though, what I'll say is what I said by what I meant is Britney went into full on gold digger mode after that. I think she legit was trying to get to know him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course, she wanted him to have the money. So let's be clear. That
Oh
was
yeah.
her type. And she certainly would have been the trophy wife that he claimed he wasn't looking for, but was indeed looking for. I
Mm-hmm.
think though, let's be clear and let's just be honest. I think it got under her skin that Hannah was in the running. I think that what really wore her out is even when she said to him, like, hey, I need to know, like, you've made a decision. And he was adamant. Nah, it's still you two. Mhm. You both of you still are in the running.
Mm-hmm.
And
He
he did not
planned
sway
on
from that.
playing that till the end. He really did.
Right.
And so it would have to be one of those girls being like, okay, so this is I'm going to choose this guy over here.
Clearly, if
Really would
Hannah
have.
had not done that, I'm
Oh,
not
he
sure what would
kept
have been
playing.
the
He
outcome.
would have kept playing with both of them.
That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was clear. He was enjoying that. And he
Yes.
wouldn't get off of either one of them. And he
No.
just didn't want, I felt like he just didn't want to lose.
That is essentially yes. He did not want to lose.
Yeah.
And even because like it just and I feel like a good majority of the men on this show talk themselves completely in circles, like in the pods. And the women weren't really, I don't know if it was just editing and like splicing, but like if you're really listening to what these people are saying, they're talking themselves in circles and essentially lying.
Oh, lying was rampant.
Just I was going because I went back and I watched episodes 2 through 7 today and
Okay.
just really absorb what everyone was saying in the pods. And I, I think the only genuine guy there really, or the one that really took the experiment seriously and I felt was being genuine is Garrett.
I agree.
That is on.
But let me just say this. I agree with you that he's the one that took it the most serious, but I also think that he was the one that was the most emotionally mature.
Yes, that too.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Hands down.
And what I find funny, and we're going to get into the next couples, but what I find funny about these experiments is, I mean, we do know that a lot of them are sought after. They don't write in to be on the show. The
Mhm,
producers reach out to them through social media, is what I found. That is how Nick D got chosen.
mhm.
And so, I lean into this. It starts off that way, but I believe when they get there and they're in their respective living spaces and they're dating in those pods, it does become you're caught up in this uh secluded world of romance, and I'm going to find the one, and it's exciting, and they get into it. And so there is an element of it that is a real hope to have a connection, hope to leave with somebody, because a lot of the cast, they don't.
No.
So there's that piece. Let's get into what you thought. I'm going to put up Hannah and Nick, and let's talk about them. I mean, spoiler alert, or it's not. Hannah ends up going with Nick. I think that Hannah figures out, certainly before Brittany did, that Leo just seemed to be intense and like the fact that he was in the midst of this love triangle, and she made the decision for herself. And I think that her insecurity caused her to bow out,
Mhm,
because what she did not want is another Chelsea Jess situation,
mhm.
where they would all meet up and he would see her. And, I don't think her insecurity could handle that.
No,
Um,
no, God, no. Clearly, I mean, never mind. We'll get into how her insecurities kind of manifested throughout, even with Nick D. But
right.
it's yeah. I hope that she's gotten some help or because Mm-hmm. It seems like there's a lot that she struggles with.
Being the youngest one out of the group, she was 26 years old. I think it was important for her to come off more together than she actually was.
Yeah.
And I felt like, okay, her approach to Leo, in my opinion, where they were probably on the same level, and she was giving Leo what Leo was giving her, a bunch of words that sound good. Um, but she quickly figured out that was not her guy. What was funny about Hannah and Nick D is Hannah worried that Nick D was going to be into himself and not think she was good enough. And yet, the minute that they were chosen, that he proposed and they saw each other, it was downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to rip her apart as much as some people did, but because we'll be fair, she was 26 and Nick was 28. Nick was living with his parents, but let's be clear again, he didn't hide that fact.
No.
He told her that. And she also didn't have a job at the time. And she even said to him, you know, are you okay with handling things for a couple of months until I find another job? And he was perfectly fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know how we went from, and then it was, you know, she wanted to get off the looks. And then Nick D was like, listen, even though I think he kind of was, it was her to me that was more superficial with the looks.
Mm-hmm.
When they first met, she basically said he lied about how he looked. And let's be clear. She told him about her weight struggles, but she also told him she lost the 45 pounds, that she was fit. And she told Leo the same. I think with Leo, she was making sure he knew she was bigger. Because he said, oh, you could be 500 pounds. And child.
A lie right from the pits of hell. But yeah, I don't even know if it's okay. No, I don't think that she was as attracted to Nick as he was her.
No.
But I also feel like her insecurities did play a role in that too. I mean, they're like the same height, kind of, or around. I mean, she's a bigger girl. And he made a comment about her height, like
he did.
Upon first seeing her. He did.
But
so,
I think that had more to do with his insecurity.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like he was able to, I don't know if I would say reel it back in, because that's not the only comment that he made about her height. He brought it up a lot.
Not. No, it's not. But you know what? What it was, in my opinion, I felt like, no, it wasn't the only comment he made about her height. But let's be clear. Hannah started emasculating him fairly quickly.
And she did.
And I hated watching him go from the charismatic Nick D to nearly a shell of himself. I mean, she was a master at, you know, just assassinating that guy, you know, telling him everything that was wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
From, you know, she didn't understand, you know, why he was living with his parents. Then, okay, so let's get to Mexico. They get to Mexico, and I mean, it seems like, because I was worried for her, but he leaned in the fact that, okay, she's an attractive girl, you know, we vibed, and I felt like he was trying to be more mature about it than she was. Into let's get into this connection, let's build with this person, whatever. We get to Mexico, and you know, the first little, I guess, run-in they had was when he wanted to go ride on the ducks, and the older lady decided she wanted to go with him. And, you know, she told him if he did it, that would give her the ick. In the spirit of fun, he did it anyway. And the woman said, oh, ha, ha, don't be jealous. Not, you're a jealous bitch.
Right.
Now, she know better than that. That was a lie.
No, honestly.
So
it was her, like, trying to, I guess, not victimize herself, but
yeah, I would say victimize.
know what? Yes,
or
because
make him look like he wasn't, he wasn't respectful. He was right,
like
and
he
and he
wasn't
was having
attracted
fun.
to her, like trying to flip it. Right.
Absolutely. She tried to stay ahead of the narrative pretty much throughout
Yeah.
their relationship. She did.
Yeah. That's
We'll
what.
come back to Hannah and Nick because there's still a lot more to unpack there. Shall we move along to Monica and Steven?
Yes. Let's do it.
Okay, so this likely couple in the pods,
Like we couple.
yeah. You know what? In the pods, I- what I noticed about them was they bonded fairly quickly. I think to me, there was still an element of superficialness about their relationship as well. Um, Two things that stood out to me, you know, he quickly told her his story about the infidelity. That
Hmm.
was fairly quickly that he
Yeah.
admitted he had cheated in his relationship or emotionally cheated.
Hmm.
She seemed to let that roll right off her back
Hmm.
and even seemed to feel like she was sorry for him, um, that
Hmm.
he went through that. Just seemed to be a lot of contradictions in the pods as to what was expected on both sides. Though one thing I did notice that he said that would not necessarily indicate that he had these weird kinks, but he did say, one thing about me in a relationship, I want to be treated like a piece of meat.
Hmm. Hmm.
Child. And then with his quest for or his new knowledge of his ancestral roots.
Yes.
He thought that he was Italian, and come to find out, his father, he said, was 3/5 or maybe even half Black. He found West African heritage. And she was elated about that, only to tell him that she too used to be confused when she took standardized tests on what to put. Now, Bria, y'all, let me put Monica back over here. Did you see anything to be confused about?
I'm not confused. It's very clear. Very clear.
What were your thoughts? I mean,
I
sincerely, what
don't
were
know.
your thoughts on
Okay,
Monica?
so I think that Monica, to me, um, she seems very desperate, very like she had a lot of. Well, she even said like she was focused on a career, and I think she was willing to hear like anything, but you're not getting a ring after
Oh
these
yeah.
pod shut down. So I think that this is desperate. Like honestly, because if you listen, this is because he's one of the ones. He said, even like with the infidelity conversation, um, he said that he cheated because he felt like he couldn't be what like wasn't good enough for that girlfriend. And then 2 seconds later is like, well, I want somebody to who's not afraid to be perfect and who's not afraid to call me out on my imperfections and want me to do better and do well. And it's like,
But you know what? In all fair, what Monica said that.
no, Steven.
Okay,
Steven
but you
said
know
no
what? In all,
thing.
let me
Like
let
in the
me
same
say
conversation is what I'm saying.
true. But what I also want to say about Steven was he was very clear on the fact that he's very communicative, that he enjoys, he likes to talk things through, which is one of the things that was a turn off for Monica. But he was very clear on that. And when she did correct him
But in the
in
pod, she said
Mexico,
that she loved it. She said that she loved that he was a talker. She
she did.
she
That's what I'm
did. That's
saying.
what I'm saying.
That's
He
it.
just wanted to be married. She said, I am
He
willing to
could have
hear
said,
anything that you got to say except for I'm not gonna marry you after the interview.
child, he
Like,
could have said,
or I'm not gonna
and by
propose.
the way, I just want to let you know, I have two heads, and oh God, two heads are killed.
Oh man, I
And
love
I
it.
love that about you. I love two heads. I love that you have horns. That's great. I love
Right.
horns. I mean, it was clear that Monica just wanted to be coupled up, child. She wanted that ring so
That's
she can go
it.
on to the next phase.
Yes.
Real tea. All right. And so let's get to Alex and Tim. Alex and Tim in the pods. There was, here's where I think that Tim went wrong. Okay.
Mhm.
It was a lot quickly. And I know he had to get that out because that was important. For those that don't know, he lost both of his sisters, which was tragically sad,
Mhm.
um, traumatic for him. I think what Tim maybe wasn't in tune with, that Tim is still doing a lot of healing.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that he said that wore me out was that his mom told him, and he realized he needed a woman that was going to bite back. That he was a dog, but
Mhm.
he needed a woman that was going to bite back because he knows for himself, he knows that he's right, but he needs someone that's going to, in other words, check him,
Right.
which was everything that he could not stand about Alex.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. I noticed that as well.
Absolutely.
It was it, but he did. He specifically said, "My mom is saying this is what I need. You are essentially what I need, but everything that I need in you is what I'm going to say is just not okay, and it's going to be a deal breaker, and essentially, and ultimately make me walk away." It's just
Right.
crazy.
That was the craziest thing. Now, to be fair, I mean, and this, y'all, is not a blow by blow recap. This is discussion about the season, and so we may jump around some, but we're going to hit every couple. To
Mhm.
be fair, with Alex and Tim, I will say Alex gave me lazy girl vibes.
She did. However, I also feel like a lot of people need to take into consideration that both of her parents, not just one, has MS. I'm
That's
sure
true.
that I don't want to diagnose or anything like that. But I mean, I just,
You felt like maybe
after,
that was a
look, I feel
symptom of
my,
depression.
my, my social battery, it drains and it transfers into my actual energy. So after 4 hours of meeting people, talking, and all of this in this experience, like experiment is, a lot too. An hour nap after that, I feel like shouldn't be a bad thing. But I also feel like she should have done more for that meeting or that get because he did bring up the fact that he did a well, no, this was for her
Yeah,
family.
that he did cook all
So
that food for her family.
he did, and he made another comment saying that she didn't offer to clean up or do really anything after. So I do.
That's why I
I
said,
get.
and Bria,
I get the lazy girl. I get
let's be
it.
clear, when they went to her apartment, here's what blew me away.
Yeah.
So when they went to Mexico, let's talk about quickly Mexico. In Mexico, they had their first little tip was after the couples had come together that night and everybody had got together. And it was Monica, ironically, when she was trying to shush Stephen up so she could get a word in edgewise. It was Monica that noticed that something was off with them, with Tim and Alex.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't show us on camera, but they had some argument.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these are the things that I saw out in the social media sleuth world. Two things, okay? I don't know which is true. This is allegedly what happened. Allegedly, some people say that she'd had a little too much to drink. That was not evident in watching them, but they filmed for hours. So, and that when they got back to the room, she had become disrespectful. They had a banter though that he seems like the kind that he wants his woman to be quiet and he's the man and he's the one that leads the conversation. And her banter with him was such that she thought he was stupid. She didn't get his humor. She was low energy. She did kind of give a vibe of
Right.
um that night. I think that she was drained. I think she's an introvert. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that all of the couples being together, all of that interaction, the girls being together, then calling each guy over. Did you notice though, when they called Tim over, Tim gave that energy like, what questions you got for me? Like,
Yes.
I know, you
Mm-hmm.
feel me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tim had the energy about him that changed my mind when
Mm-hmm.
he met her parents. But before that, I thought, I've seen this guy before. Uh-oh.
Like can't be
Tim was
corrected. Can't
can't be
tell them
no.
nothing. Yeah, it's what it was
Yeah.
giving.
Like, yeah, I can't do no wrong. My woman is supposed to support me whether I'm right or wrong. Your place is to back me. How dare you contradict me? When it's my family, I want carpet rolled out. And I get that because I'm big on my family too. I am. Respect is huge. And I feel like maybe he didn't feel like what he put out there for her family was reciprocated, but you have to realize that everybody is different.
Right.
And he really should have spent that time. I think he spent a lot of time in the pods talking about his story. I didn't hear as much of him investing or asking about Alex. Am I wrong?
You're
And you
not.
guys can slide in our comments too and tell us what you think. Those that are with us now, you guys let us know. I mean,
I remember one episode 2 or 3 where they were in the pods and he was telling a story about his family. And then in that same like story, like as he was, finishing it, he was like, she cut in and said like something, and then he said, "Well, let me just talk about me and my family a little bit." Did you see that part?
it was,
And I
yeah,
was
he
like, "We're
wanted,
just talking about your family, all this like for this whole pod meetup." I'm so confused. It was
she
all me. Like it
She
just
did get to divulge the fact that both her parents had MS. She did talk about that, but as far as the amount of time that she was given to maybe talk about how that made her feel,
right.
it just was a
It
lot of
was
her
just
listening to him. And it
it
was a lot
was
of him, her taking on his sadness. I mean, you see a lot of times when they're in the pods, she's crying, it's
yes,
heavy.
yes. You can tell.
And the bracelets, that was huge to me. I thought that was a much too soon to give someone your deceased sister's bracelets. I wouldn't even feel comfortable taking that
No,
at that point.
no. Uh,
I think, and we can probably, we'll finish their story. I think when he met her parents, and he read that letter to her father, and her father being a MS, a man that was dealing with MS, that was really touching. And that's when my what I thought about him kind of shifted and changed. I was like, that's a man because he wasn't afraid to sit with her father, and he seemed to show heart. I think he has potential. I really do. And I think that maybe they could have been good together if maybe he was a little more involved and healed, and maybe her too, because she did give y'all, she gave me lazy girl, and he wanted that woman that's gonna be right beside him. He wants it understood that if I cook, you go in there and wash them dishes. I mean, look, she's a young woman. You see how she kept her apartment, child. Look, and did y'all see when she came to his place and was like, "Oh, your recliners, you're this."
yes.
Only
We
to
were
say
like,
you was
where
packing
else
in,
y'all
you
do
were
that?
packing quick, ma'am. That is not packing quickly, ma'am. That is I don't give a bleep, and I
Right.
just throw my stuff everywhere. That was
I mean, it could
crazy.
also be a little depression because she could. Like I said, I'm not trying to diagnose nobody, but the naps and the state of her apartment is it's giving a little bit of depression. So I'm not
Fair,
sure, but
fair.
I try to give grace. But I wish you would have called somebody, sis. Your apartment was going to be on television.
I mean,
They
a
could have
sister,
called
a cousin,
about to
your
say a cleaning
bestie.
company. It seems like you do well. Like you could have called somebody to straighten that up for you,
Molly
sis.
Maids, somebody.
One.
Real tea.
Very
That was
disappointed. Very
very,
disappointed you there.
very, very. His family, what let me tell you what I thought, and we're gonna move away from Alex and Tim and get onto some of the couples because
Uh-huh.
otherwise we'll be here for like 3 hours. But
Oh yeah.
the other thing that I did want to say that I noticed when they were talking to his parents, his mother did a lot of the talking. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like his mother and him were twins.
Mm-hmm.
His poor father looked shut down. His
Mm-hmm.
father looked young, by the way. I wanted to add that. His father looked young. But it was like his mom was doing a lot of the talking, and the thing about him having to have his space, and because after they had their first argument, they make up, even though he tells her he was pretty much done. That's also was a red flag that she didn't pick up. He was not willing to talk through it. He was ready to throw in the towel first argument.
Mm-hmm. And his mom even said that that's something that she would do too. So I'm sure that he's got some trauma with that, seeing his mom just kind of be like, okay, well, whatever. I'm not, and I'm sure that's how that's how it works. You know, you see, you do what you see. So,
You do what you see, and you also see what you don't want. I think his mother was the strong one, and he was like, in my relation, no, ma'am, no, no. I'm gonna lead this. I'm gonna be in charge. I'm gonna be the one that's right. I think
mm-hmm.
he saw his mom and dad and wanted the inverse of that,
Yeah,
and that
like
Alex,
the man, and he wanted that
yeah,
for, yeah, yeah. I get that. I do.
yeah. Those are my thoughts. Y'all still, like I said, slide in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. All right, we're gonna leave Alex and Tim for now, but okay, and let's end their story. They end up breaking up after she meets his family. When we come back, we find out that they decided to part ways. Tim was angry that she took a nap. His parents had drove 10 hours. They had had a long day, according to Alex, and she had politely excused herself. Tim had gone to the store. She had somewhere to be. Um, and she had told them that it was a pleasure to meet them and that she was going to take a nap. According to Alex, the parents were not upset. The parents, I mean, what you gonna say? No, baby, don't take no nap. Um, and then she proceeded to take her nap, and she seemed to be generally confused that he was so angry.
Mm-hmm.
From his perspective, I think he expected her to entertain his family. That's his expectation as a wife, who, and I'm not saying I'm not saying he's wrong for that. I'm saying where I think he went wrong was his lack of communication. Then there was also the mention of the text. When he said that he had texted her to ask that she made it home safely, turns out she had gone out to a club or a bar. So maybe Alice was still kind of doing her single girl life, not necessarily with another man, but still hanging out. Maybe
Yeah.
he didn't appreciate that. This is just all my opinion. She didn't catch it till like the next day, because that's what you do when you're used to moving like you want to move. I don't think she had evolved. And this is fast, y'all. That's the one thing that Love is Blind, I don't think, does well. And only very few couples are going to make it because of how quickly they move. The pod is a good foundation as far as getting to know someone without getting caught up in the aesthetics of someone.
Mm-hmm.
But they get out, and then they've got after they do their honeymoon, or their, not honeymoon per se, but their trip together, their
Right.
wedding planning, they're getting back to work. That's a lot to
It
deal
is.
with. And
Yeah.
then they're meeting family and trying to integrate and get to know them all in this short amount of time, and then to get to the altar. Listen, it's a lot. And I just think for them to, if they'd have had more time, maybe a different show. But he
Possibly.
ultimately, yeah, he ended it with her. And y'all, what cracked me up though, honey, she was so serious about her food. She was like, oh, I can't. She she still kept grabbing a fry or two while he was talking. Like, sir, I ain't ate all day. I mean, let me be broke up with on a full stomach, please, sir.
And I fully understood that. Jesus.
Me too.
But
They
yeah, that
and
was.
Tim has been pretty vocal on social media about saying, look, what y'all didn't see is that, she and I had lots of arguments off camera. She says that Tim was manipulative. Yeah, manipulative about what he would show on camera versus how it was off camera. I believe all of that, y'all. I think that they both probably dodged the bullet. I'm sure more is going to come out on the reunion. So, y'all, we're going to have to stay tuned. We're definitely going to do another discussion on the wedding days and then ultimately the reunion. So we'll get back to Alex and Tim. Their love story may be over as far as they're not making it down the aisle, but we're going to see what happened with them later. Let's now move on to Marissa and Ramses.
Oh boy.
What did you think of Marissa and Ramses, Bria?
I like them. Well, let me let me back up. I didn't like her. I thought that she was like just a bit much.
Very annoying.
But but she grew on me.
Me
I
too.
like her bubbly personality. She seems to have a good head on her shoulders. I feel like she does, because I will get to her mom and the way she was brought up. I feel like she does have a tendency to self-sabotage, and I feel like she displayed that a little bit. But
Yeah.
Ramses, he's one of those, to me, performative woke people.
Okay.
It's like you want to look and act like you're so progressive, but then you hold on to these misogynistic ideals, and honestly, they're deal breakers. And it's like, oh, I want so close. You are so close, Ramses.
He really gave her the vibe in the pods that he was a supportive guy, that he was perfectly
Yeah.
fine with her being into her career. If and when they had children, that he was even fine with staying home with the kids because she's about to, I guess, pass the bar and become an attorney. She wanted to get into her career, rightfully so. She, is finishing up law school and is actually an attorney and just getting ready to pass the bar. Let me say what I thought in the beginning, y'all. And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'm just going to be honest, my opinion. So in the pods, I really thought she should have picked Bowden. And we're going to put Bowden on the screen. I thought they had more in common. I could see them working.
Me too.
Child, it wasn't until she found out Ramses' zodiac sign, honey, that she made her mind up. And that to me was crazy. But Bowden and her,
I looked up a Cancer Leo and like what that meant, and I didn't see anything super spectacular about that combination. I'm so sorry. What am
I
I
think that for her it was physical. I think that she felt like he was going to be a good lover,
And
which
I'm sure,
apparently must
well,
be
yeah,
true.
okay, but like, there's a whole lot of combinations that make. I'm so like, it just.
No, it's when she got that a horoscope diagnosis, she was
Parts.
sold. There was nothing Bogdan could have stood on his head. It wouldn't have mattered. She had found her husband. But let me say in the pods, and she said that she liked the fact that he actually did have that whole masculinity thing going on. But in the pods, he did seem a little bit more metro, which he is. Y'all, listen, those two dreads wore me out. I would have never been as rude as her mother.
No, that was awful.
That was awful.
That was awful.
Did I share in her dislike for the way it looked? Sure did. I would never have said it though. I would have never been that rude to anyone. Her mother was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But in Mexico, they were vibing. I would say hands down the cutest couple, great physical chemistry, seemed to be like, soulmates. And listen, I have to say it because another content creator, shout out to, in my opinion, Miss Miesha, said that Marissa was giving off half and half. My girl, I can't think of her name, but on half and half. Y'all know who I'm talking about on the show. Child, listen, she looks just like her. That's exactly what I thought. So when somebody else said it, I was elated. At any rate, they're cute together. One of our internet sleuths let us know that only 2 couples make it down the aisle. So when we get there, I just want to know what 2 you think. I mean, some people think it's obvious. I don't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's obvious. One couple I'm certain of. Only one. But we'll get there. Okay, let's get to. So in Mexico, they really didn't have any hiccups. When they got back, God knows he was a trooper when he met her mother. And for y'all that haven't seen it, that are watching this and still watching, her mother was extremely aggressive, very rude, very foul-mouthed, very disrespectful. She disrespected the way he looked. She basically said that Jerry Crow looking, she likened him to, honey, the movie Breakin' in that era. And God knows she's 1000% spot on. But that was rude. But it was
not like
horribly
that.
accurate as far as his appearance. But I mean, he's not a bad looking guy. I think he's attractive. Um, what I'm gonna tell you what I did like and didn't like, Bria, then you do it. What I did like about him was he did seem like um he was patient to a degree when it comes to some things. Some things not so much, we find out. Um, he did seem like he was, God knows he was patient to put up with the mom. The siblings were cool. He held his own when he met her because there are some guys like a Tim could never have sat there.
Oh
It
gosh.
couldn't. He couldn't do it. He'd have been out. I don't know that a sensitive Tyler could have done it. I don't know that Steven could have done it. I don't think Bowden could have sat there. And maybe she wouldn't have come at him that way because the
I don't think.
appearance is different. Yeah. Probably not, to be honest. She probably would have liked Bowden better. But at any rate, the prenup discussion, wanting him to sign a prenup or asking him about it when she doesn't have any money yet. She's not even really practicing. That was
Say
a
she's
little
not
premature.
yeah. I didn't
Um,
like get but I mean like
I mean, from a mother's perspective, I get it. Like, if I knew you were on your way to getting ready to go and pass the bar, and this guy seems kind of hippie-ish, and I don't know. I mean, he has a job. I don't know what that looks like in comparison to an attorney's salary. All attorneys don't make money though. All
I really
attorneys are not
don't.
wealthy. Just because
I
you're an
don't
attorney does not mean
know.
right. So there's that. But now in DC,
Yes.
depending on what type of attorney she is, more than likely she's going to do well. So I get that. That part I get. Um, Bria, what were your thoughts? What did you like and what didn't you like about Ramses?
Well, I said before, like it was that performative woke or being woke enough to attract the women that you want to attract. So, I, as far as the men on the show, I think he's one of the better ones. God, I'm disgusted to say that, but
Mhm.
I just, I don't, I, that, the whole period conversation really turned me off. I mean, it
Oh
really.
yeah,
And then not wanting to use a condom.
that was yeah,
Um,
that was selfish.
just yes, yes. Like, and
Wait, but you know what? It was okay. So the conversation within itself was selfish and then crazy because he wanted she wanted the condoms because he said he didn't want to have children right away. Now, initially she didn't. She said she didn't either. Now that was her self sabotage
yeah,
because
which is
in the
what I
pods,
noticed.
right? Marissa said that she was perfectly willing to wait. She wanted to get into her career first. So it went from that to, hey, we can try. I mean, heck, if we got pregnant right away, I wouldn't care.
Right.
Which is how the condom conversation came in. And she's like, okay, if you don't want them right now. And that was, let me be clear, and this may sound wrong, but that was her in her B mode when she didn't feel good, didn't want to be bothered. And she
Yeah.
was a little, she was a little irritated with him.
Yeah.
And I think that was in response to him saying, no, I don't want to have kids right away. But that was the plan, was for them to wait.
Exactly.
So
Because
the little
honestly, the way that she got sick, it seemed like she having to do all that traveling for work and like trying to
oh, she was
adapt and adjust. I mean, it seemed like she was not having a good time. So like it,
she wasn't. She
and
was
that
worn out.
yes, and that would be a lot. You know, you're just recently married to this person that you kind of just met, and then now you're like, it would end like as soon as that baby got here. Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, right. So I mean, I think for Marissa was reality was starting to set in. She's doing this long commute, coming back and forth. They're planning a wedding. She's taking it really serious. He seemed to be just kind of lackadaisical about helping her with it. That's what comes with toward the end with them. But I think in his mind, he's seeing red flags because she's moody, but most of us are when we are getting ready to be on our periods or PMSing or whatever. Um, you don't feel good.
no,
And she seemed exhausted. You can't be bubbly and all of that all the time. So
no. And side note, I feel like that is essential. I feel like I'm saying essentially a lot tonight, but it is whatever. But that's what's pretty much wrong. No one wants to work to make and maintain connection. It's like people go through these different seasons. They're not just
Absolutely.
everyone, like, people are, what is the dynamic, or is that we're, it's ever changing. You never
Right.
like,
From day to day.
so yes.
You're not
And
gonna always get that excited person
right.
behind the wall that you were talking to in the pod because
Yes.
real
And
life sets in.
even in my own personal dating experiences, I just came out of where it felt like I couldn't express any emotion but happiness, and I'm so grateful that you're here. I can't say anything or else it's gonna, I feel like we're not gonna, like, it's so, you can't. It's frustrating, and that I felt so frustrated in that moment, because with that, and then the 10th, like, it's, we're so quick to just throw people away when it's just, we
Yeah.
could talk and work through things.
To me, that seems to be the biggest widely repetitive theme throughout all of the couples is a
Yes.
conversation could have corrected a lot of some of their demises or potential demises. They just want to, I mean, they fell in love with the voice behind that wall. Reality is that that voice behind that wall is a real person that has real
Yes.
issues,
Real things.
and that's life. But let's try to get through these couples and then we'll do a quick roundup because we're going to come back and recap the wedding episode airs Wednesday. So, oh y'all, I think we should go to Garrett and Taylor now, and we were going to say Tyler and Ashley.
Okay.
So probably the healthiest
Yes.
couple. They had their little moment at the 20s party, but first thing, a lot of folks had questions about why she was so secretive about her ethnicity. Now, what did you think, Bria? And I have my thoughts.
Like I said, I because we talked about this before. um I think she really wanted to lean into the experiment. One, I think that she really wanted him to fall in love with who she is as a person, and not an idea of what she could look like. You know what I'm saying? Just
Definitely.
like who I am on the inside. Um, Also, I feel like most Asian women, or Asian presenting women, are more privy to the fact that a lot of white men have a fetish and preconceived notions, and
That's where I
maybe
was
she was
going.
afraid that he would make some judgments.
That's where I was going.
So that's what I think. I don't know.
I no, I agree with you. Bria and I both are in a lot of fan groups. We do a lot of chatting through the week, and you sadly have to stay off of social media if you don't want all this tea before you get to the episodes.
Ridiculous.
Sadly,
It really
um, but that was a thing, because he kind of felt like she was being like, what was the word he used? It wasn't manipulative. It was strategic.
Yeah, I think so. Or evasive. I don't know. Just
Right. But I agree with you. Taylor and Garrett both have science backgrounds. They're very logical, methodical
intellectual.
thinkers. Right. They are actually, to me, perfectly matched.
Mhm.
Perfectly matched. Okay, I have a few things about them that I want to bring up. The meeting that Mexico was cool. They are one of the few couples that did not sleep together right away, which on this cast, honey, everybody got down. That I don't know that all of them were, but I think that it's fair to say, for the most part, on this season, everybody was fairly attracted to each other. Fair?
I would say
Yeah.
that for the most
Oh yeah.
part.
For the most part, I think so. Or attractive enough.
Yeah, but it's like, because okay, you have to. If well, you don't. Never mind. Let continue.
All right. Okay. Taylor and Garrett was the one couple at the point of when all the couples first came together on in Mexico to gather for their little party that hadn't yet. I think that quickly changed. They didn't speak on it, but I think they did. But at that point, the only couple that had not, though their chemistry was definitely slower building, which I think is what is working for them. They were endearing when, Taylor learned that Garrett has to like tape his mouth closed because of his snoring and sleep, whatever. I thought that was really sweet. Where I started to see Trouble in Paradise first was when she came to meet his family, y'all. The way that his mother in particular received her,
And sister.
my thoughts could be wrong because sometimes I lean that way, but I felt like she just didn't fit the ideals of what she wanted her son to be married to. I'm not gonna say it was because she's Asian. I don't know. I'm sure it also has something to do with the fact that she's trying her best to persuade Garrett to move to San Diego.
Yes.
That's clear. And that's understandable for sure. For sure. Bria, what were your thoughts? Because I was very turned off by that.
It was a very uncomfortable meeting. She handled herself like a champ. Answered
didn't she?
Eloquently and did not sweat. Just
poison grace.
Because I would have broken. The way that, because you could feel that energy in there was just thick. Like they were
his sister.
Yes, sister.
He was giving her the same thing.
All of them. The only one that felt like, hey guys, what's wrong? Like, it was Garrett. I mean, like it was thick in there. It was
very thick. Very thick.
Yes.
I felt for her. But she did. She handled it with poise and grace. She carried herself well. I think Garrett is very smitten with her, from my opinion. And my opinion is that couple is definitely going to the altar. I mean,
I'm not know what to think if not.
But
there's no.
I think I will throw something at the TV if so.
Possibly, yes.
Possibly, yes. I think he did well when he met her friends. I loved that. They thought from first glance that they could get it. They got why that she had chosen him. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I loved her diverse friends too.
Yes, and he got in where he fit in. He was because I was worried the way that I saw, the reaction with the parents, like, oh, how was he brought up? Like, because her friends were a very eclectic variety.
Yes, they were.
But he did. He seemed he just fit right in. They loved him. It was great.
They did. And that's when I was like, okay, all right, Garrett. Yeah. And then when he flew, okay, so before they fly to go meet her parents real quick, y'all, they had a little incident. I thought it was a shade bit silly, but I understood her point. So Nick had gotten a text from his ex. She finds out about it as they're going to the party Okay.
You said Nick got a text from his ex. I'm just trying to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Garrett.
Yes.
Yeah, honey. Keep me straight. Keep me straight. Garrett got a text from his ex, and they are getting ready to go to a couple's 20s party. This is when also some of the ones that were not chosen in the pods also got to come and meet everybody. He told her that he just liked it and did not respond. She was still upset about it because she has very heavy trust issues. She's been cheated on before. That's something that she's been very transparent about. So finding out about that, after the fact was a little suspect, but she's like, okay, cool. We can roll with it. Then y'all, just like a man, when they're sitting there with Tyler and Ashley as a couple talking about it, he brings up, yeah, I got a text from my ex. I just told her, hey, listen. She's like, you told her to say who now?
Told?
Oh, you text her. You say you had your phone and you with intent responded to her because what you told me was you just liked it.
Right.
It was sad because as composed as Taylor was, God knows you could see the hurt.
Yes.
And in the scheme of things, what he texted her back wasn't as big of a deal. But the fact that he didn't tell her was. And men, why do y'all get scared? It's scarier for us to find out after the fact that you lied than for you to be real and say, hey, babe,
look,
I couldn't help this. Look, this is what I think this is what. Come on now.
I got triggered. Oh my gosh.
I'm sure.
Yes. Just if it's not bad, just like before it gets to that point where we're all like
save yourself.
Bad, just be like, hey, look, this is what this look, babe, look. Like, I mean,
I feel you, men, if we have
so easy.
any of our male actualizers on, please let us know, why do y'all do that? Why can't you just tell us?
What?
It's so much
I
easier.
promise, and it's universal across the board.
It really is.
We are going to react so much calmer, and I mean, I'm not, but it'll be better for you if you just show us right then.
Right.
So that
You might get a little something.
Turn into a spiral.
Sure. You may get you a little something. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Who loves the fact that their ex is cool, feeling like she good enough to still reach out to you, knowing that you went to go do this show? But it's how you respond and how you handle it is the thing that keeps it in check. He just didn't handle that right. And he knew he was wrong. Thank God, even though she wasn't fully past it, she was past it enough to let him go meet her family out in San Diego, which also went very well. Quickly, we're going to get to Tyler and Ashley as much as we can. And then I just want to do a quick thing on the wedding dresses, and we're going to wrap up because we are getting into, the hour mark. So, tragically, y'all, one of the couples that I was also very much rooting for.
We're all.
Yes. Tyler and Ashley. Yeah. And sadly, we all found out before we needed to that the one thing that Tyler did, everything else, y'all, I thought their love story was beautiful up until it comes out that Tyler has children. Tyler fathered 3 children with a good friend of his. I'm sure a lot of you know, I'm going to play a little snippet. It started off as he's one of her best friends. This woman that he had his children with is a lesbian that was married at the time to a woman. They wanted to have a child. He agreed to assist them. And they, in their agreement, had a son that her wife, was going to be the second parent to, that he didn't even sign the birth certificate. It was business to a degree, though it wasn't like it was artificially inseminated. They conceived that baby the natural way. When Ashley does find out, and we're skipping around, they did good in the pods, honey. Mexico was good. At home, he met her father. He handled that well. And though she did not meet any of his family.
What is that? Mm-mm. I don't think she did.
No, she didn't. She'd be a red flag here. I mean,
that would have been a red flag or
everybody else.
Alarm.
Except for Marissa didn't meet anybody in Ramses' family either.
I thought she met his mom, but it wasn't.
Not on camera. Not on camera. At any rate, he did meet her father. That did go well because he was clear that that's his little girl, and Tyler won him over. And I think that's what hit her so bad when she found out that he had the children, though he downplayed it and called them sperm babies.
Which is when baby mama had to be like, so this is what really happened, because what we're not going to do is that. And I'm
actually going to share a little bit of her addressing. She has a 5-part. We're not going to go through all 5. I'm going to hit a couple. We're going to watch with y'all. So Brie Thomas had to come out of her quiet little world and address and say, sir, what you will not do is play crazy, act like, because one of the reasons she even came out to say this is because Ashley specifically asked him when she was trying to figure out what was his involvement with the children. Do the children even know what you look like? And he said, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. When she has blasted social media with pictures of him particularly with that son at Christmas.
Right. My twin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So here we are, guys. I'm going to share the screen with you. Bear with me. And we're going to get into some of what she has to say. All right, let's do this. Oh, hold on. Let me give it some volume here. Oh, no, no, that's part
Say what's
5. No, we're gonna do part 1 first. Let's see here. We were out of order. Here we go.
okay.
Person. I do not like all of my business out in the world for everyone to see and know, but that is just the situation that we're in right now. Out of my control. Uh, but I feel like it's important in order for me to move on from this and to clear everything up, that I state the truth. So there was a time in which Tyler was one of my best friends. Even now, he's still the father of my 3 beautiful children. And considering that my intent here is not to bash Tyler, however, as a mother, I'm compelled to defend my babies and myself and attempt to protect them from a narrative that just must end. A narrative that is not only purely inaccurate, but unfair to my children and myself. So, with that being said, here it is. So, unfortunately, I think it's time that
We're gonna go to part 2, guys. Give you a little bit of that.
Really and truthfully, the most
I don't
important
know,
part
my
is the
computer wants to
journey.
act crazy, but here we go.
I think
What was that, Bria?
I said I think the most important part is is it part 5 where she talks about the journey, about how it all happened, and or is it or does she?
I think we get into that part 4 and 5. So let's see. Let's see what part 4 had to say.
Okay. There's no sound. Mom. Mom.
Uh-huh.
Did you mute yourself? I don't think you can mute yourself and play it because there's no sound.
Oh, there was no sound on the video?
No.
Okay, well, I've stopped sharing. So let's try again, guys. I'm gonna go straight to I think it was really part 3 where she really, to me, gave the tea. So let's try this again. So here we go.
now, as far as the twins, unlike Cairo, the twins were simply unplanned. Uh, if that needs to be spelled out for some people, Callie and Kamari are the results of natural, unplanned intercourse with absolutely no complexity surrounding parentage. They were conceived before Cairo turned 1, and fully admit, I have not always been the most comfortable with that truth, due to the fact that I've lived the majority of my life as a lesbian. Nonetheless, it is exactly that, the truth. Tyler was there with me the entire way, extremely supportive. We went to doctor's appointments together. We even were living together.
All right, guys. So I think that gives y'all enough tea to know that Tyler knew those kids were his. Tyler co-parented and lived with her, and they had those children the old-fashioned way. So the fact that he was dishonest with Ashley about that, Ashley being the kind that she presents herself to be, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they made it down the altar. I know that with all this coming out, it can't be good. What do you think, Bria?
No, definitely not good. And there were some other, because I watched all 5 parts, and I took some notes.
Okay.
So basically, because there's a lot that she divulges in there, and she even mentioned that they talked about the kids being at the wedding potentially. So she was very caught off guard that he said that he didn't know what them babies look like. She was like, that's not what we discussed. She said either that or like just don't talk about the kids at all. But like to say that they're sperm babies, that was not what they.
And what I go ahead.
Okay. And she has said that he has not seen these children since September 30th, 2023, which is the day before he left for Love is Blind. So he saw the kids before he left to do Love is Blind, literally the day before. And since then, she has filed to change the twins' last name because they do have his last name. The older boy doesn't. And she's coming for that child support.
I was going to say, I do know that she wants him to run her child support.
She wants her money. So
now that part, I respect and understand. Yeah, that took me way back to my day. Run me. My money. You can do
have my money.
Whatever you want. You can have Ashley, Bashley, and Cassie, but what you need to do, run me my child support. Okay. I can't say I blame her. Tyler, that was a low. No, that was low.
That was
on both accounts. You did not have to lie to Ashley. The circumstances of you helping them have the child. I mean, yes, is it messy because you guys actually slept together? As a woman, that would be a little bit, but she openly lives her life as a lesbian. Obviously, she had a bisexual moment. Whatever. But truth is always better. Let her decide. It's not like those kids are going to disappear or this woman. You opened yourself up for this. This woman has been lighting you up all over social media. And rightfully so, because one thing you're not going to do is disrespect my No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. Not for no experiment, not for a show, not for your 15 minutes, or not even for you to marry someone under false pretenses. I think that Ashley deserves to know that. That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah. So they were the second couple that I honestly, I think Taylor and Garrett definitely make it down the aisle. I don't know between Marissa, Ramses, and Tyler and Ashley. I'm not sure who number 2 is. You guys weigh in, slide in our comments, and let us know what you think. We are going to wrap up, but I have one more quick thing that I want to address, and then we're going to give our final thoughts and wrap up this live. But what did you think about Katie, Hannah's best friend, when the group
the whole wide world?
I'm gonna put Katie on the screen with Nick D. First off, listen, Hannah's face got ripped off because Katie was like, "Oh, he looks good." She talking about who looks good, Nick. She thinks Nick looks good. You done made the man feel like, trash. You talked about his living situation. He can't take out the trash. You're smarter than him. He's broke. And he's not broke. He's a real estate agent. But the way, even about how he needs to take care of her dog. The way that he was explaining himself to her, I was incensed. I was so angry. And you know what it did? It made me look deeper into her imperfections. It made me say, ma'am, you need to lose a couple. Ma'am, you don't look so hot. Ma'am, you don't have a job right now. That's immature to go on a show and quit your job. And that's what happens when you throw something at somebody else. People are looking at you.
Mm-hmm. And that is, I can honestly surmise the exact opposite of what she was trying to accomplish. She wanted to make him look bad so that it could exalt herself and make her seem like, oh, he's not on my level. Like, no, sis, y'all look pretty neck and neck. I just
pretty compatible to me.
If anything, really, Nick, you would
have thought that it stopped after he met her family. Right. After she met his family.
But just because you know a little bit about investing, and it doesn't mean that you are financially more literate, financially more secure. Where's your job at? It just doesn't make any. She did all of that to make it seem like she was on a level that she was not. So
Agreed.
But ultimately, what ended up happening is we zeroed in on her flaws. That big back that didn't seem as big in the pods, it looked very swole.
It grew every time she gave him an insult. Her back got wider.
I'm telling you. Because he didn't look that bad in the pods. You trained him. But as soon as you kept, and then you had the hair up in the leather jacket just spreading wide as I can, it wasn't flattering. You look crazy, and your insults just made you look even crazier. Yeah. But I see she unbigged her back and she looks great now. So
she looks amazing. She looks amazing. And even if she hadn't lost any weight, y'all, if she'd have treated him with any semblance of respect and kindness, and it's one thing you might be at different places, but she had agreed to help build him up. That's not how that goes. Looks like we lost Miss Bria. I don't know where she went here. Screen went black. But at any rate, listen, very off-putting, very I was very, very turned off by her. She broke it off with him in the last episode after she berated him about, what he wasn't doing, what he wasn't accomplishment, what she didn't understand him. When, like I said, all it did was make us hone in on her flaws. So with that being said, y'all, they were a no-go. She was very bothered by the fact that Katie kept giving Nick compliments. Katie was her best friend. To me, she showed her butt that night when they got back, and she was mad because he sat down and had a mature conversation. Katie basically politely called out some things that turned her off about him, but that he was a good-looking guy, a nice guy. She also led with some of the things that she did like about him. So therefore, it was a total different conversation. It wouldn't surprise me if Nick D does not now try to holler at Katie, since him and Hannah have now gone on the outs. So you guys come back next week. We're going to recap the episode. We're getting ready to go to the wedding episodes. I wanted to talk to Bria some about the wedding dresses, but we're going to throw that in next week's discussion. We're not going to call it a recap. It's discussion. I want you guys to join us in the chat. And I got a quick thing to say before we wrap it up here. Okay, we got Bria back. I'm going to bring her back in.
I got a phone call and then it just cut off. I couldn't see
technology.
Whatever.
What are you going to do? But I basically let everybody know that Katie had the conversation with him in the way that I think that Hannah could have talked to him. She pointed out some of the things that she found off-putting about him, yet she also found a way to also lean in with the things that she liked about him, the things that he was, his charisma, his personality, the things that just weren't deal breakers for her, but that he was still a good guy. It didn't leave him feeling depleted, empty, and emasculated. It wouldn't surprise me if Nick D does not try to holler at Katie, since now him and Hannah are now on the outs.
As he should.
If she'll have them. I did say we were going to get into the wedding dresses, but I think we're going to pull that into next week. We'll start off with that and then get into the wedding day episode. So guys, thank you for staying with us. Now we kept you here for a little over an hour, but we had a good time talking about one of our favorite shows right now. The season's a hot mess, but it keeps bringing us to the screen. We will be back. We'll announce when we're going to drop this next live discussing them. So you guys got to go ahead, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we decide to go live and talk about Love is Blind and all other reality shows, pop culture, and things that we like to discuss. Join me on tomorrow for Bravo Monday. You guys talk about Potomac, and Tuesday we're going to do Real Housewives of Orange County. Y'all, I got a special guest co-host that's going to be doing Orange County reunion with me. His name is Joseph Sigliani. And if I said that wrong, Joseph, I apologize. But he will be on. I think you're going to like him. He's a lot of fun. He's a Bravo fanatic like I am. So he's going to bring a little bit of a different perspective. We're going to have a good time, laugh, and do the reunion. So stay tuned. We got a lot of fun things going on with the channel. Of course, my co-host Bria will be back when we talking all things Love is Blind. So you guys come on back. And if you haven't yet, go ahead, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and join us next week. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Bria, you can go ahead and give our your spill.
Oh, okay.
You haven't been here in so long.
I haven't. I know I'm sorry. I see you. I love you. I'm thankful for you. And I'm grateful for you. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.